everyone, I'm Selina Shapland here from synergyinteractive.com.au and welcome to the Creative Anarchy podcast. I'm pretty excited today because I have Krishna Everson with us. Hi Krishna, how are you?
Hello.
Hi. So just as a really short introduction, I'd just like to let everyone know that Krishna works with passionate and purposeful business owners who want to make a difference by demystifying the marketing process and helping to connect with their audience, their clients and their readers by marketing with heart. How are you? How are you going there?
I'm very well. I'm so excited to be here and addressing your audience today. So hello, everybody.
That's great. So tell us, we'll just jump straight into it. So tell us a little bit about how you got into marketing, Krishna.
Well, I originally fell into marketing in my 20s when I got a job with the Sydney Morning Herald, and that was in advertising. So I had been living in Toowoomba in Queensland, saw this job for the Sydney Morning Herald in Sydney. I'd grown up in Sydney and applied for that job. So I was actually with the Fairfax publications for 13 years in a whole range of advertising roles across their whole group. So the Sydney Morning Herald, Sun Herald, Financial Review. And then I left to do what I loved, which was health and fitness. So I moved into the health arena and built a gym from 150 members up to 1,400. And that's when I got a real taste of retention, marketing and that kind of thing. From there, I injured my back and went to uni. So I studied health promotion, which is about population health and promoting to groups. So really developing health campaigns for population groups. Then I moved to Queensland with my husband. We started an e-commerce website. We had 200 products and made a lot of mistakes.
Yep.
But what really happened at that point was I was coming in contact with a lot of passionate business owners who really wanted to make a difference in the world in some way. And that's when I made the decision, based on what the feedback they were giving me, to start marketing workshops. So basically what I did was pull my backgrounds together and start to develop marketing made simple type workshops that really talk to not your corporate business owner, but the people that are really compelled to do something from the heart. So they've got something inside them that they want to get out, but marketing doesn't always come easily for them, and that's where I get my most joy in the work that I do. So really I help to build capacity to help them to be able to do it confidently, but feel good about it. Yep. So that's kind of how it all began.
Oh, right. So how did you become a marketing consultant after you'd gone through that? I'm interested also in what you learned from some of your mistakes in setting up that business.
Oh, look, some of the early mistakes were not knowing my market. So we had 200 products, and it was things like Pilates equipment and yoga equipment. We had our own range of essential oils. We sold massage CDs and aromatherapy books. But what we bit off more than we could chew. We were trying to talk to too many people at the same time. And it's really, and you'll find this as a writer, when you think, oh, but everybody would love what I'm writing about, or this is a story for everyone can relate to. But really, when you know who your audience is, it's a lot easier to connect with them. So what we did wrong in the early stages was try and do too much. So we ended up liquidating a lot of stuff on eBay. That was the one big mistake. The other big error we made was overcapitalising early. So putting a lot of money into our project. We had hundreds of fitness balls in our garage for I don't know how many years. I've got one left 10 years down the track. If anyone needs a 45 centimetre Pilates ball, that's the smallest one. I've got one unopened, still ready. But, so we get all excited in the beginning and we overcapitalise, and it may be, if you're publishing your book, you might think, well, I'm going to get 1,000 copies because it's cheaper to do 1,000 copies.
Yeah.
When it might be better to do fewer copies in the beginning and understand. So those kinds of mistakes, overcapitalising was a real big error early on.
Yeah.
And also the amount of money that we spent on our website early on. when coming down the track, when it started to break, it was still going to cost us thousands of dollars to fix, and that's when I started to work with WordPress, which is a fantastic publishing tool for authors as well. So yeah, they were some of the big lessons.
Awesome. I mean, well, I've done your WordPress course and it's been invaluable for me because I've got a couple of blogs on WordPress, and it's just so much easier to do once you've done a course. And I think authors could really, use a few tips and hints on that from time to time as well.
It just fast tracks the learning curve.
Yeah.
Because it is easy, but it's still a learning curve like anything. So if you have a little bit of help in the beginning, it just speeds the process up.
It does. It's made a lot easier for me, I know that. So I just wanted to move on a little bit and find out a little bit more about what you think authors and creative entrepreneurs need to do to develop a really great brand for themselves.
Well, the brand is a combination of you and your audience.
Yeah.
A brand is more than a logo. It's an impression that you make. It's how you come across. It's visual. It's what you say. It's what you do. So all of those elements come into it. But you can't kind of hide behind your brand either. The day of faceless brands are over, even with something like Virgin. Who would Virgin be to us if it didn't have Richard Branson? So when it comes to branding, it's the impression that you make overall, but you want it to be consistent as well, or it confuses your audience. People don't know who you are. The more clarity there is around who you are, who you're talking to, who you're connecting with, who you're conversing with, and you're doing that all the time through everything you do, through every image you post on Facebook, through everything you write. You're communicating your brand all the time. So whilst I don't think you have to go and spend a fortune on marketing materials and things like that, it pays to know who you're talking to is really the first part of it, and just presenting a consistent image to them, a consistent brand personality, so to speak. So understanding your brand personality is actually quite a good way to do it. If you could specify the 5 elements of your brand personality and then portray that in everything you do, because sometimes people think that marketing has to be really rah-rah because there's a lot of loud and noisy marketers out there. You don't have to be. If you're grounded and peaceful, that's part of your brand personality, so that's going to come through what you do. But you don't want to do things that kind of contradict that, because your tribe will grow, your people who believe what you believe will be drawn to you. So just be yourself. You don't have to. You don't have to manufacture it. You just have to be who you are, and then allow us to see it.
Right. So
does that help?
Yeah, but how would we figure out our 5 elements of brand personality? Yeah,
it's a good one to actually sit on. So I would usually start by saying, if your business or your book walked into the room, what would how would we recognise its personality traits? So think of your book or your business as a personality. So it could be inspiring, it could be bold, courageous. So it's like personality traits. So if your book is inspiring, bold and courageous, or your business is inspiring, bold and courageous, then what are you going to do that people can see that demonstrates you're inspiring, bold and courageous? It really narrows it down. It makes it a lot easier. You've got 5 personality traits and it just might be your focal point. So you can say, okay, I've got these 5 traits, and everything I put across, every video I do, every audio I do, everything I write is going to have an element of bold.
Right.
You don't have to do them all at the same time.
Yeah.
You might just focus on, this week I'm going to be bold and next week I'm going to be courageous. Don't overthink it. That's a real killer. But does that kind of help? So you just it gives you an anchor.
Yeah.
It gives you a really simple focal point. Okay. And sometimes if you can't figure it out, because we're often too close to our projects, even as a marketer, when it comes to marketing or doing my own stuff, I always get feedback from others because I kind of go blank.
Yeah.
I always do everything in consultation with my own, and you've seen that, Selina. I'll always ask questions. What do you think about this? I've lost the train of thought now. But basically, yeah, ask somebody else. That's where that's where I was going. Ask your friends, how do they see what you're doing?
Yeah.
Because you'll be surprised what they come up with.
I'll have to do that synergy interaction.
Yeah, it's a great exercise.
Find out what people think of it and give me some ideas on how we can.
I have got a YouTube video that explains it when we did it in a workshop, actually. I'm more than happy to give you the link where I go through the process with somebody.
That'd be awesome. I'd love to have that in the show notes. So that'd be fantastic.
I'll give you the link.
Yeah, thank you. I'll write it down. So can I just ask you a little bit more about the marketing? So, like, I'm a bit confused about what marketing is really about for, say, an author who may have a book already sitting there. I mean, they put all this effort into creating the book. Like, what's it really about for them, and how do they get it out there?
Well, the marketing kind of actually starts before the book's written, to be honest. Really, at that point, you're really into yes, it's marketing. Because marketing is about communicating your message and making a connection and being visible, but then you really get into the selling perspective that you want to actually sell books. So the best way marketing really begins when you are knowing who your audience is. So you've got a book. If you've already published and you've got a book and it's like, what do I do with it now? I've got to market it. You kind of got to step back and then go, okay, who are the readers? It always begins with the reader. So who are the readers? I need to determine who they are first. No, I'm just going to splash it out there. Let's just go and, chuck it on Facebook and do this and have a website. Well, you need to know who your people are first and have clarity around that so you know who you're going to try and connect with.
Yeah.
It always begins with your audience, and that begins before you even start writing. So that's what I suggest with any budding authors, that if you're working with an editor, they will address this, but who are you writing it for? What tone will it have, and that sort of thing. So if you're writing a fiction book, you're going to know if it's a teen audience, if it's the 50 Shades of Grey audience. So wanted a better example. It's just because it just launched. The movie, that is.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's it's in the media right now. That's another topic.
Isn't it interesting though how that became so popular so quickly? There's all sorts of debate over
There is.
the actual writing of it.
I read there. Did you read about the Twilight connection to it?
Yes.
How it's like just the Twilight books refurbished. Very interesting.
Yeah. No,
just targeting another audience.
Yes.
It always boils down to your audience. So marketing is just about connecting with your audience, really.
Yeah. So you've really got to think about it before you even put any words on the paper.
Really.
I think as authors too, we do actually think a lot about our audience. Well, in my experience, even though it's limited, it's still the experience I've had is that if I want to do thrillers, you've got to be looking at the people who like horror and thriller, and those who want mystery, and even younger kids, for example, with the Harry Potter thing. But Harry Potter sort of goes across multiple audiences. It's a real interesting one, that one, because it was a phenomenon.
It's a great example of the importance of pre-launch, which is a very important element of promoting your book, is that pre-launch period before it's even out. And you see that Harry Potter's a perfect example. Any movies are a perfect example. All the excitement is in the pre-launch.
Right.
Then it comes out. So quite often authors are waiting until the horse is bolted. They're waiting until the book is written and then going, I've got a book, I've got to promote it.
Right.
You've missed all that opportunity while you were writing the book to build your audience, to build your tribe, to make connections, so that you've already got a captive market when you deliver the book.
How do you reckon authors could actually be tapping into that pre-launch period whilst they're writing a book?
Well, social media is such a fantastic opportunity. We didn't have it 15 years ago as a medium. Because you can mobilise things so quickly through social media. So that is our level playing field. It doesn't matter who you are, how big you are, how small you are. We all have access to it, which is super exciting. A really good example of that kind of pre-launch phase right now in my circle of friends would be Karen Clark, who's just written From Bullied to Brilliant. It's not printed yet, but she has been working diligently over the last couple of years while she's been writing, and she's got more than 10,000 likers on her page, but they're not just likers, they are engaged. Every time she posts something on there, they are sharing and liking, and it's a very, very active page. Now, when the book is finally, you can hand that money over, she's already got an audience. She's got a well-established audience. So she's been using social media. She's been blogging. The people that I know who are successful with their books are also blogging as well. So blogging and social media really are your keys, because you can do it for little to no money.
I was going to say, how do you do that? Like I'm writing a novel myself, and it's like in that phase of looking at the audience, plotting, that sort of stuff. And for people like me, it's like, how do you get that audience engagement? Because although I'll post on the things, there's a bit of a, it's how do you get them to like your page?
Okay, so in the case of Karen's example, her business is Powerful Positive People.
Right.
So everything she puts on there is around positivity, around people being positive, about that kind of life. Bullied to Brilliant will have its own page as a book, but her audience will come from Powerful Positive People. And it's the people within that audience, there'll be a segment of that who are going to be her, not only the readers of her book, because it's about how if you're the bullied person isn't the perpetrator and then you've got the victim. It's really about, From Bullied to Brilliant is about the victimised party being the powerful one, so that the bully has no power. And so that's going to appeal to people who have been bullied or whose children are currently being bullied. It's looking at it, it's not from a victim perspective, but it's also what it's going to do for her through Powerful Positive People. All of these advocates for the book, they will promote that book.
Yeah.
So it's not this hard slog that I'm just promoting my own book. She's going to have all these advocates from the work she's been doing as Powerful Positive People, and the posts that she's been doing are all the fantastic, amazing, inspirational quotes with fantastic imagery. So imagery plays a really big part in social media now, using powerful images. You can't really do good content marketing anymore without the powerful imagery and video as well. So bringing in images that speak your brand personality, video as well if you can. And it doesn't have to be you if you're not comfortable in front of the camera. It can be other things going on around you and observations as well that kind of share your message. So even if it was, because I'm working with often businesses and people that have books relating to the work that they do, but even if it's around characters, so you could start to share elements of the characters that you're writing about, and that's a really fun and kind of way to share what you're doing. So you can even talk about that. So it doesn't only have to be inspirational quotes or stuff about a business. It can be, what was your inspiration for a character? You could share an image. Maybe it was the White Rabbit from Alice in Wonderland was an inspiration for some reason. You could share a little image and a little bit of commentary around that, and then you'll get all these people going, oh yeah, I love Alice in Wonderland. So it's just, I guess the only way you're going to know is by doing it.
Yeah.
We can't plan all this. It really is marketing research in action.
Yeah, yeah.
It's action research. So that's why blogging and social media is a great thing to do, because you'll see what people are getting engaged with. It gives you, so that by the time your book's written, you already know.
Yeah.
So it's part of that experimental phase at the beginning. You know, put it out there, see what people are responding to. Facebook will tell you in your insights what posts are being engaged with more, so then you can go, okay, I'm just going to do a bit more of that and see how people respond. So it's not a quick fix.
Mm-hmm.
It's just being consistent and having faith and knowing that you've got that call to write that book for a reason, and that's all there for a purpose, not just some fly-by-night idea. You know, you're meant to be doing this, so just have faith in that.
I think as a writer, you get all consumed in your topic for quite some time too, so it's nice to share some of it with other people about it. Okay.
And so the other thing I would say is, don't let it overwhelm you, the whole marketing thing, but just be aware that your audience is already there before you start writing the book.
Yeah. That's the sort of thoughts that I've had. And it's like, well, not everybody will like it, but some people, my target audience will like it.
That's right, yeah.
So I just wanted to also go on and ask you about the differences between article writing for promotion and media release for promotion of things like books and for creative entrepreneurs, how they could use that best for themselves.
So articles, when I think articles, I think of them in different ways. I think of them as articles that might go on a blog. They're an article that could be published in a magazine. An article that could go on somebody else on a website, for example. So depending on the setting, an article is, I think of it as a structured piece of writing. Generally speaking, the kind of article writing I'm teaching does have some structure to it. It's a little bit of a different way of writing rather than the creative flow, because for the web, excuse me, a little bit of that tickle. For the web, the layout needs to be, you don't want block walls of text and things like that. So breaking it up with white space to give it structure. Subheadings can be really useful because it helps the reader to absorb what they're seeing on the screen. So structure is really important with articles. But, generally I'm thinking of articles as communicating something that has a particular purpose that's addressing your audience. The difference with a press release for the media is it needs some kind of newsworthy angle. So an article is about drawing your audience in. So if it was online, for example, you're going to draw your audience in and then you're going to direct them to something. We're talking content marketing now. You might direct them to read more of your blogs, to go to purchase your book if it's already published. You're going to have the article and then guide them to somewhere. Right. Press releases are going to go, we're trying to really address the attention of a journalist. It needs to have a newsworthy angle, and it has a certain structure to it. It's very short, punchy. You have less creative flair in a press release. It's more like if a newsreader was reading your story, they don't have any waffle in there. But in saying that, a journalist often will want to know the backstory to the book. So it's not enough to send a press release saying, "Oh, there's this fantastic new book, come and buy it." That press releases are not advertisements. No. We might, however, talk about. Actually, I've got an example here. I'll just grab it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. So the Happy Mind formula. She was a therapist who had depression and then created a formula that was basically based on diet, exercise and mindset. Yep. Sent the press release to the newspaper, but the story was really about the woman behind the book.
Yeah.
So, and the same if you're launching your book, yes, you can send a press release about the book, but it's really about the backstory behind the book. Yeah. Oh, and I happen to be having a book launch. So So you've got to write it from the perspective of the news.
Yeah.
So it might be if it's a let me think from a novelist perspective. Well, I find it fascinating that potentially 50 Shades of Grey was Twilight rewritten for an older audience. That's a fascinating news story, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, well, she's appeared on quite enough media.
Yeah. So, so it's looking for press releases need an angle.
Right, okay. And to remember that you're talking to a journalist, and the journalist may want to know more about you and your blog. So what's important on your blog or your website to know if you do put out a press release about you, your book and yourself, the person behind the story?
Yeah, very good point, because if you send a press release to a journalist, they'll quite often go and check you. They want to check you out a little bit more before they contact you. They might like the idea of the press release. I'm going to go and have a look at this person's website. So they're looking for more information. Now, if you're serious about media, you could certainly have a media page on your website for interviews. If you would like to interview the author of this book, contact here. You can also have photos that the media might want to use. You can have a little bio or a synopsis of the book that the media can use. Anything that's going to help them to make a decision. Oh, yes, this person's serious. I really want to interview this person. They've got some really good, they're good media talent. Right. That's what they're looking for, media talent, especially when it comes to television. So if you want to get in front of the camera, it might be that you do have a video of you so they can see your media talent, depending on where you're at.
What is media talent exactly?
Media talent. Media talent are people that aren't going to be... we've all seen those Sunrise Today Show interviews in the morning when they ask a question and the kid says, yes. They're not media talent.
So if you're not going to speak, you're not media talent.
Yeah. That makes their job easy. Yeah. Really, at the end of the day, journalists are just people with a hard job to do because the publishing industry has been hit very hard because of digital media, and so they're often doing the work of 10 men. So they're looking for stories. They are happy for people to give them the story. So you need a well-written press release. And it needs to have a newsworthy angle. Only 1% of press releases actually get taken up. But often it's just because people don't really give any thought to what they're putting in them. They just kind of pump them out. The other thing is if you're going to write a press release, you want to address it to the journalist in person, not just the generic kind of, dear sir. You want to, if you're serious about getting press, you really want to be researching who's writing about the stories, who's writing the stories that would be relevant to what your book is about. So keep a little swipe file. Start just taking notice when you read the Sunday papers or whatever, or any magazines. Take note of where there's, the latest book picks and who's the editor of those sections. Start to keep a spreadsheet on potential contacts so that when you get to the point where you want to send a press release, you know who to send it to. All of those things will definitely help you. So on your website, you could even have a formatted press release on the website, some photos, picture of your book, a video perhaps, synopsis, bio, that sort of thing. But it shows you're serious. If you've got a media page on your site, you're in business.
Oh, that's great. I know what I'll be doing after this. Looking at my media page, creating one of those Excel spreadsheets. That's a great idea. I hadn't even thought about something like that. Yeah. Actually, I did want to talk to you about your Get It Right course, the Get It Right Empire Builder course that I did. Because I was actually going through the media releases part. I'd say that's the weakest part of my writing. I'm pretty good with articles. I thoroughly took to that like like a duck to water, to be cliche about it, but I really enjoyed that, and I do a lot of that now. But the media releases are really a challenge because they are so succinct, and also knowing what is newsworthy.
Mm.
But like if they want to, if you want to do that, how do you make it more like newsworthy content-wise? Like how do you find your hook for the journalist kind of thing?
Yeah, sorry, Selina. I normally just start with what's going on around us right now.
Oh, okay.
That's usually where I begin. The things that when you're a consumer of the media and the things that rile you up, oh, that's not true. They need to hear from me because I know about that. They're your hooks.
Okay, right.
So it's just an awareness.
Yep.
So what's in our media right now? I don't want to go with the politics.
Is there something creative you can think of? Or even non-fiction?
Look, we've got the Bali 9 at the moment. There's lots of angles from there. There is, apart from the human rights elements, perhaps you're writing a book about someone that has, it could be a book about the story of someone who has had a challenge like that. It could also be, one of the guys that's going to be executed. I know it sounds terrible, but his journey into painting. So there's an angle there. There's lots of different angles that are just in that story alone. There was also a devastating story this week. Jessica Ainscough, the wellness warrior, has passed away, which is absolutely devastating. But there's a lot of angles that are going to come off that story, not only around cancer prevention, treatment, but also how does a young girl of 23 get diagnosed? How did she transcend beyond that? What was going on in her head as a young person? What makes a young person at 23 even embark on a journey of being such a change agent? They're the stories behind the devastating incident. There's lots of angles that a journalist could be interested in. And interestingly, her cause that they want people to donate to is actually animals.
Oh, really?
Animal rights, yes. Fascinating. So, so creatively. Yeah, the Bali 9 is one that comes to mind because of...
Well, it's a human story there. It really is. Yeah. It's a tragedy.
And it could be, when the Archibald Prize comes out, what chain of events, what other stories could come off that? Like it can be the individual artists and their individual stories around the paintings because there's so much diversity in art and in creativity. So, it could be even, we've just had Cyclone Marsha. What is there within that you'll see there's all these other little elements. You'll watch how the journalists do it. Just be aware of what's going on in your media. Cyclone Marsha, what comes from that? Community, how we rebuild, what we create. There's lots of elements, and you'll see that in the coming months, how that evolves into different types of stories. So just be aware. But I think, when you see something and it sparks an emotion in you, there's probably an angle there.
Awesome. So if you can tie it to your book in some way, or for example, you could have a theme of compassion in your book, and you can talk about the idea of compassion in that and have an expert view. Yeah. And
Great example.
And then they can cite you as the author of this particular book that talked about compassion, and then they talk about your views on that sort of thing. Yeah.
And it does mean, if you are going to go into the media, it does mean you're going to be exposed in some way. You just got to get over that.
Yeah, get used to it.
At the end of the day, because most of us that are doing something purposeful are doing so for a reason because we've been through some experience that maybe wasn't always pleasant.
Yeah.
But that's what people relate to because we all have a story like that. So don't be afraid to show your vulnerability, because that's what people want to see.
Yeah. They'll, I guess they identify with that.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit more about your Get It Right courses so that other people can find out more about how it works and what you do there.
Well, the Get It Right Empire Builder really came around as a way of looking at different ways writing can build your business empire. So rather than, because quite often people will start their business, they might put a website up and put the shingle up over the door, and then they wait for the customers. But it just doesn't work like that. Excuse me. So your empire builder is really about using your ability as a writer to make yourself visible. So we can do that through writing articles, through blogging, through getting published in various forms, through writing the press releases, and then promoting those or repurposing them. So we might write an article once, but we could put that on our blog. It can go on a newsletter. It could be sent crafted slightly different and sent to a publication. It's never wasted. So it's just about using that content and allowing others to see it in as many ways as possible. Through that process, driving people back to your website, which is your own real estate. And it's important that you've got your hub of your own where you live, so to speak. And at that house, because it really is, your website is like your house, you're inviting people in. You then direct people so that they know what to do, to click here to purchase the book, to go here to comment on a blog, to click there to go to see you speak about your passion. So you're guiding them, and through that process you're building your empire.
Right.
So it's just about engaging people through writing in a public way. So instead of in your book, it's like, well, you've got to allow people to see that. We're going to do that through reaching out through digital media, through writing articles, through blogging, through press releases, which often the press releases you might address your local market, your geographic market, not necessarily. It depends on your individual situation. And so that's right, and you're building your empire that way, just by reaching out. So really it's just a succinct, it's goes over, well, it's four lessons. Each lesson addresses a different component so that you can kind of hone into whatever's most important to you. It's backed up by a interactive Facebook group, so others that are going through the process, you can brainstorm ideas, you can share your posts, you can get feedback. It's a private group, so you could, if you'd written your first blog post, you could share it there and give you feedback, that kind of thing. You can put your press release on there before you send it out. You can get feedback on your press release, that sort of thing. So you've got that ongoing support. That group just is there on an ongoing basis. And once you're in, you're there for good. You can refer back to the lessons whenever you want to, because people do tend to be better off working self-paced. So everything's available straight away, but it does have sort of a chronological order. But you've got the Facebook group at any time, and then, of course, I'm there if needed and you need more. You can certainly call on me as well. But I'm in the group all the time.
So, Krishna, you've got videos that go along with that, a slide package, and like worksheets that also help the student to actually work through their topics.
Yeah, exactly. So there'll be a video that they can watch first of all to set the tone, and then the worksheets that they work through so they can get it down. I still find writing it down. I offer two formats, one that you can print off and write it onto, or you can also do it on your screen. I still really like writing it. So I think that's really valuable. And so you can fill those out so that you can get constant clarity as you go. For example, there's several templates for your blog. So if you've got I'll show you how to create hundreds of ideas. There's 50 headline ideas that you can adapt for your own material, and then you can actually put those into the structures that are provided. Because sometimes with the creative writing, it's a bit of a transition to go from that creative thousands of words, well, how do I turn that into a 500-word article?
Yes, yeah.
This will help you do that. Yeah, it's a nice simple structure so that you can get blog posts out very quickly and easily so that you can have some consistency.
And with the blogging, would it be good to have like a set date or a set day of the week, for example, that you kind of schedule yourself to, or your articles sort of thing, to build an audience?
Look, that is best practice, to have the more consistent you are, the better. And it might be that you have certain themes of the week, and if you decide you're only going to blog every fortnight or every month, that's okay too, but just try and have some consistency around it. It's something I find a challenge myself. Some people prefer to sit down and write a series of blogs like in one hit and then you schedule them to go out, because you don't want to write, one today, one tomorrow, 5 in a row and then have nothing for 6 weeks. So even if you did write them all, and then you can drip feed them out just to keep that consistency going. So yes, it is good to have a consistency. But yeah, some people have themes: Motivational Monday, Wacky Wednesday, funny, Friday funnies and things like that. So you could choose, days of the week to deliver certain things if you wanted.
So what are your top 3 marketing and or branding tips for authors and creative entrepreneurs?
Oh, well, the first I would say, don't wait until the book is written.
Yeah. That
would be the number one. Start thinking about who your audience is before you even put pen to paper. Well, maybe not that exactly, but, very early, before you go through any editing process or structuring or anything like that. You need to know who you're writing for. That's number one. And I would say get your channels up as soon as you can. So your marketing channels. So get your website up, get your blog happening, and even if it doesn't have to have a fancy brand, even if it's a photo of you with the name of the book, and keep it nice and simple. You can do the branding later when you get to the cover.
Right.
But you can certainly start to get those channels up and running and begin sharing those out into the marketplace while you're writing the book. I wouldn't wait for that. So get the channels up. So it depends on who your audience is as to what those best channels are. For me, it's pretty, and especially if you've got a big visual element, you might want to look at things like Instagram and Pinterest, if the visual element is very important. But yeah, definitely get your blog happening, because that blog is going to become the place for your book.
Yes, yeah.
So when you start to sell it. A big one is don't be shy. Look, this whole concept around blowing your trumpet.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's your own tribe you're talking to. It's not everyone else. You only need to speak to the people who relate to you, who believe what you believe. So don't feel like I'm blowing my own trumpet, because you're just talking to people who are like you.
Yeah.
So just chill out, breathe.
You're among friends. You're
among friends, yeah. It's just like if you were inviting people over to your home for a dinner party or a gathering. You invite them in, take off your shoes, let's have a chat, have a little intro, let's get to know each other. Think of it like that. So you're not going to be shy in that kind of environment on your playing field, you know what I mean? Because there's lots of others like you. So, yeah, don't be shy or don't freak out.
Yeah. Well,
that would be, I've got a fourth one. Can I just mention?
Yeah, do.
Think about what else your book can become.
Right. Like a movie?
It could, absolutely, could be a movie.
Yeah.
Coming back to the Happy Mind formula, she turned her chapters into some interviews, similar to what you're doing, but without the video. And created a series of audios.
Awesome. Yeah.
You could turn your book into an audio book. So that you're targeting people that like to listen in the car or on their phone or at the gym. So just, think of other things your book could become, because there are other income streams for you.
That's right, yeah. So from self-publishing perspective, it's great to have a book. Think about your audio market that you've got there. to have also the ebook, so not just the print book or print on demand, but have that ebook
Absolutely.
in the options. And some authors I've noticed, especially in non-fiction, they'll put together a massive book with lots of content, but then they might separate out like topics and sell them for much cheaper, so that you can even take one book and break it down into that if you're an expert. And you become an expert when you write
Absolutely.
it. You can't help it. And I have to say, for myself, as a bit of a testimonial for your courses, since I did your course last year, I have had consistent article experience, writing experience, and not just on blogs, but on paid sites, which is fantastic. That's not enough
Absolutely.
to retire on. It's fantastic to be paid for the knowledge that you've got and the enthusiasm and passion you have for a topic. And I think it doesn't matter what kind of writer you are or what kind of business you've got, you can always share something of yourself in that way. It will benefit others. So, you know, that's my big yay for the Get It Right Empire Builder.
Thanks, Selina.
Do you have any other courses that you wanted to talk about before we...
Yeah, look, the other one I do online at the moment, what I've got is a KISS Academy. So the Empire, Get It Right, WRITE, Empire Builder, and also the Passionate Marketing Plan. So you can actually create a marketing plan. That's another one that I've got in there. I also deliver workshops face-to-face as well. I run WordPress workshops, MailChimp workshops, MailChimp being a email management system so that you can actually reach out. You can build your subscribers and reach out through newsletters and things like that. You can broadcast to large groups at a time. I run workshops on MailChimp, and starting very shortly will be writing for the web. So at the moment on the online ones, which is through the KISS Academy, is the Empire Builder and the Marketing Plan, but I am going to be offering WordPress, a start up your own WordPress website through that. But at the moment, I will set you up with a WordPress blog. I'm actually offering that service. So if they need a website set up for them, a nice simple one so they can get started with the blogging, I offer that myself at the moment with a do-it-yourself version coming along in the not-too-distant future, but I'm not quite there with that yet.
I'm interested in that MailChimp one because, you know, they talk about these people out in the self-publishing and publishing area talk about having a mailing list and the importance of ensuring that you do have people sign up. The problem that I find is with the WordPress site I've got is what plugin do you put to get the MailChimp in? So it's like a mystery
just a MailChimp plugin?
There is, because it's a mystery to me. I can't seem to find it.
I'll send you the link to the one I use, and then you can pop it into your sidebar and start to get your subscribers.
That would be fantastic.
You can put it on your Facebook page as well, so you can get your MailChimp subscribers through your Facebook page too.
I've been stumped by that for over a year.
Oh, okay, I'll fix that for you.
That's fantastic. All right, would you like to tell everybody about your Get It Right Empire Builder offer?
Okay, so the easiest way to find the Get It Right Empire Builder course is just to go to my website, krishnaaversonmarketing.com.au/KISS Academy, and it will show you what courses are currently available. So at the moment there is the Get It Right Empire Builder. Now normally that's $247. I've created a coupon code for your authors so they can get $50 off the course package, so that'll be $197 instead. So that code is KISS Authors.
That's great.
Yeah, go to KrishnaEversonMarketing.com.au/KISS Academy, and you'll see the where you can click on that'll take you to more information about that course, and the Passionate Marketing Plan's there as well. So if you're interested in creating a marketing plan for your book, if you already got it, or even before, you can definitely tap into that one as well. So I'll set that up. I had only set it up for the Get It Right Empire Builder, but I'll do it also I'll give the $50 coupon, KISS Authors.
Yes.
For the marketing plan as well.
That'd be fantastic, because I think more authors need to get business savvy, and this is a part of that. It's very important.
Yeah, because it is It is a business.
Yes.
Well, it'd be nice to make some money from it.
Would be great.
Connect with your audience and just build your profile through the people, and they'll tell you what they want your next book to be as well. That's what's fantastic about it. Also on the website, you'll see any WordPress courses that are coming up, and if you do need a blog created for you, there's a website, a link to the website area. You can go and get details. But for $3.95, I can set you up a 3-page website with a blog ready to go, so you can start. We can start promoting your book even before it's written, and get your blogs happening too.
That's fantastic. And that's all in Australian dollars, so if somebody from overseas was interested, they could still sign up?
Absolutely, yeah.
Awesome. That's fantastic. So that's fantastic. I'm so pleased. Thank you so much for your time today. It really has been so interesting and informative, and I hope lots of people get lots out of it.
Thanks, Selina, for inviting me. It's been lovely chatting to you. We haven't done it enough, have we?
No, we haven't. I really appreciate that. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, appreciate your support, and good luck to all your authors out there. Keep going and don't be shy. Let people see into your heart and what you're doing, because you're here to make a difference.